Hi, and thank you for joining me for this, I hope, a short tutorial on Tadasana, mountain pose. One of the beginner postures within a yoga sequence to learn, but certainly I think quite underestimated in its powers and the huge benefits of Tadasana. And it is just a standing posture. It's a standing balance on 2 feet. It's something we do every single day, and we probably take that a little bit for granted. So what can I talk about for 5 minutes? Join me at the top of your mat and let's find out.
You gotta keep on breathing if you wanna make sense of it all. We will not fall.
So for the purpose of this tutorial, you can either stand at the top of your mat, which is where mostly you would practice Tadasana, or you can stand in the middle and you can face me. So just take a moment to just stand. Just move the feet and then find some stillness, close the eyes, and not do anything at all. Don't even work towards the posture. Okay, we haven't even started yet. So we're just standing on 2 feet, and just observe how you feel as you stand there. Start to find a steady flow of breath, breathing in and out through the nostrils, and feel that breath coming all the way from your feet up to the head on the inhale breath, and from the head down to the feet on your exhale breath. And now let's get into the posture. So whenever we come into standing balances, we always want to think about the foot position first and then move up through the body and finally finish with the gaze or the head. So taking a look at your feet, are they kind of positioned out to the side? Are the toes turning out? Are the toes turning in? Is one foot in front of the other? So if you can, just try and bring the feet hip width. And when I say hip width, I mean from your outer hip all the way down to your outer side of your foot. So now look and see if your heels are turning out. So you can just lift up and turn the heels out a little bit so the outer edges of your feet are in line with your hips. Lift the toes, make sure the toes aren't kind of crunching up towards the ground. Really spread, lift and spread the toes apart and then release them down. And you can start to feel that the feet become engaged, they become active underneath the arches, underneath the toes, into the heel, and also in the point underneath the ball of the foot. So start to feel those points, the point of the ball, the point of the heel, and the point of the outer little toe. Now take a look at the ankles. Do you need to start to bend the knees to soften into the ankles? Do you have hyperextension into the back of the knees, which is a little bit of a sway back? So does the knees push back quite far? So from the side, are you really drawing the kneecaps back in, or do they have a nice softness to them? Okay, so you're still releasing into the toes. We're not gripping into the toes here. And just notice the shins. Can you feel the calf muscles? Can you feel all of the tendons, the connective tissue around the knees? Now start to draw up the muscles just above the knees. So you can start to draw up this part of the kneecap up towards the quadriceps. So you can let that relax, and you can start to draw it up. You might be able to see that, just a subtle movement. You start to draw the kneecaps up, not back. And that goes up into the quadriceps, up into the hip flexors, and then you start to come into the center part around the pelvis. So notice now, if I turn to the side, how is your pelvis tilting? Are you tilting it back? Is there a little bit of an arch there? Or are you tilting it forward and the pubic bone is pushing forward? So again, just notice the tilt of your pelvis. You can hold on to the hips, move the pelvis. Again, just find the feet position. Find the legs, find the pelvis. Draw the abdomen inwards towards the spine. It doesn't have to be crunched. We want to be nice and relaxed in this posture. It doesn't have to be firm or stiff or rigid. We want to be in control, powerful. It's called mountain pose for a reason. And lengthen the spine. So we're not compressing or dropping into the back. See there, I've collapsed into my lower back. Lift up. Lift up the chest. Try not to flare the rib cage. All of these things all come into one position. Draw the rib cage in. Start to knit the rib cage together. Okay, so again, you're long and lengthened through the torso, through the spine. Are the shoulders? Are they up towards the ears? Try and relax the shoulder blades down. Soften the shoulder blades away from the ears and feel that space between the earlobes and the collarbones. And again, the hands, are they facing inwards, forwards, outwards? Are the fingers tight together, or are they pointing down, this energy of reaching the fingertips down towards the earth and that feeling of rising through the torso? And already you're starting to feel this energy from the feet to the head as you breathe in. So everything is starting to feel strong and connected. We're also thinking of the weight distribution now as we move the shoulders forward of the hips, and we move the shoulders back away from the hips. If I go back too far, I'm going to topple over. So we want to think of stacking the joints, stacking the shoulders on top of the hips, on top of the heels, making sure the weight distribution is equal within the feet. And then last but not least, the head and the neck. Is the neck soft but long? Is the neck in line with the spine? Is the chin slightly dipped? Is it lifted? Are you arching into the back of the neck? Or is the neck in line with the rest of the spine? And then relax through the face. Relax through the facial expression. Soften the temples, the forehead, the area around the eyes. Soften the jaw and the teeth. And maybe the tongue rests on the roof of your mouth. Looking forward, finding a point of focus, a single point of gaze or drishti. Or maybe choosing to close the eyes and drawing that gaze inwards towards your third eye. Now return to your breath, breathing in from the feet up towards the crown of the head. And releasing the breath from the crown of the head all the way down through the body to the feet, back towards the earth. Find a few steady breaths there, and just bear in mind all of those things that I've spoken about with the feet, the ankles, the knees, the thighs, the pelvis position, lengthening of the torso, relaxed shoulders, long neck, relaxed face, reaching arms, energy. And be present here. Feel the posture. Feel standing as if you were on the precipice of a mountain edge looking out across other mountains or lower lands. And then release from the posture. So there's a couple of variations to Tadasana that we can add in. We can bring the toes together. So you bring the two big toes together and you just keep the heels out just slightly, just about an inch between the heels. Again, when we narrow our base, it's always a little bit more challenging to balance. That's when we start to lift up and balance on one leg, maybe in tree pose. So standing at the front of your mat, big toes together. heels are slightly out. You still start to engage through the back of the legs, not hyperextending through the knees, but lengthening up through the quadriceps. And then here you might wish to bring the arms up above the head, bringing the palms together. And again, just notice all of those things might change. The rib cage, the shoulders, the neck, the head. And then finding mountain pose or Tadasana here. And feel that rooting and rising sensation. You are rooting through the feet, through the legs, and you are rising through the torso, through the head, through the fingertips. Find the steady breath once more. Feel the flow of prana or life force energy moving around the body. And then release the hands down to the side, back into Tadasana mountain pose. And release from the posture.